Hi guys, it's your girl B Michelle coming at you with another Dollar Tree DIY. This is going to be mirrors from Dollar Tree, and the big mirror in the center is from Walmart, but all the other ones are from the Dollar Tree. So I started out by laying out the design that I'd like to create, and I just got an idea of how I wanted to lay it out. I also took a picture of the design so I can remember as I'm putting it together. So once I have it laid out and took the picture, I started flipping them over so I can start gluing them together. So I'm just going to remove the square mirrors from the center and start gluing the outer mirrors together. And these mirrors here, the ones that have the cutout, they're actually picture frames from the Dollar Tree. You can find them on the craft section, on the craft aisle. They were hanging next to the candle holders at the store that I found them at. I've only found them at one location. I actually needed two more for this project, but I just went ahead and made do with what I had. So I started also by cutting some craft sticks, just cutting them into smaller pieces. And you'll see why I needed the smaller pieces once I started putting everything together. But okay, so I took two of the square mirrors from the Dollar Tree, and I'm placing one on top of the other just to give it a little bit of height. The two mirrors aren't going to be glued together. One is just underneath just to raise it up to the level of the small picture frames here. So I'm taking the E6000 and I'm going to take a little bit and put it on the side, just enough for the other picture frame to touch on the sides. And what I was trying to do is, when you see how the design is of the mirrors, it's like four rectangles that's connected to create the frame. So there's on one of those rectangles, I'm just trying to put it to the height of the rectangle that's laying that's going to be going horizontally. So I'm basically just trying to put it to that height, and I'm also taking a layer and I'm going around the top of the mirror so it can connect, so I can connect it to the mirror that I have placed there. And I'm only connecting it to one of those mirrors. I'm actually going to slide the bottom mirror out just a little bit to make sure that I don't glue both of those mirrors together. So once I put that E6000 on there, of course, I'm following up with a little bit of hot glue. Now, when it comes to working with glass, I prefer not to use the hot glue, but for the purpose of making these videos, I do tend to use the hot glue along with the E6000 or Fix All. It does give that instant stick, but preferably I prefer not to use it. So I'm just running a little bit on there and just going to join the four pieces together. So I'm connecting the two side frames as well as the square mirror in the middle. And I just want to make sure everything is lined up as straight as possible. Just trying to keep with the design. If you look over to the other side, you see the design is still laid out. So I'm trying to follow that pattern. Next, you want to add some craft sticks. Any place that you can fill in with a craft stick, you want to do that because you want to have as much support as you possibly can with this project, because those mirrors, once they're all connected, it's going to add a lot of weight. So you want to make sure everything is supported. And you also can use like a foam board if you want to do that and lay it on top of that. I typically don't like using the foam boards when I put something like this on top of it. But since it's your project, you do it however you see fit. So I flipped it over to see how things were looking. And I did notice that the square mirror does not fit. It's not an exact fit in between those picture frames. I don't really know, because some of them seem like they fit pretty well and some seem like they weren't an exact fit. And it could have been that my picture frames weren't aligned properly. So if you run into that, I did notice there were some gaps once everything was complete, and it was fine. Once I put it on the wall, I can't even really tell it's there unless you're really just looking for it. So it was fine. So I wouldn't even worry about that if you run into that problem. I didn't worry about it. So that's up to you if you want to do something else to kind of fill in those gaps. I just left it like it was, and it blends in well with my wall. But anyway, I continue to connect the pieces. So just following along with the design, and I am adding the square mirror along with the picture frames as I go along. And I'm just going to build up, and I'm doing the same process with the square mirrors. That's just to give it that extra height so it can be connected, so they can kind of be level. So when I get ready to hang it on the wall, it'll be kind of level. So I'm also taking the E6000 and I'm putting some on the other picture frame. And I'm also going to lift up the mirror, the square mirror, and add it to the square mirror instead of putting it on the other picture frame because it's already connected. So since I'm trying to stay with the pattern and connect all the pieces, I'm only going to lift up the pieces that's not already glued to adhere them instead of trying to put the glue on the pieces that's already joined. So I'm placing the E6000 on the square mirror. And then I'm going to adhere all of the pieces together and continue with using the craft sticks. But I also want to say there was another YouTuber that gave me a tip on using the hot glue gun. How we complain about using the hot glue and you have all the little glue strings everywhere. Another YouTuber by the name of Althea McNabb. I will place her picture in here so you can go and check out her channel. And she told me that using the Vaseline on the tip of the glue gun, it eliminates the glue strings. And I will say that you will still have some glue strings, but it did make it much easier to remove those glue strings. You don't want to use a whole lot of the Vaseline because you don't want your project just to be really oily and you don't want that oil to take away from the glue sticking. But I did use it. I did use some of the Vaseline and it does make a difference with removing the excess strings. I didn't have as many strings as I normally would have, and they were much easier to remove. So I'm just joining the pieces and continuing on adding the craft sticks. So you just continue to follow that same process, connecting all of the pieces together. And once you do both sides, you should have two pieces that look like this. So both of your pieces should look just like this. And I'm going to turn them around so I can join the other pieces in the middle, which is going to be the square, more the square mirrors. And I did have a different design originally, and I can show you a picture of that design when I laid it out. This was even before I laid it out on the table. I laid it out on the floor and I took a picture of it. So I can show you, insert a picture of the original design, which is very similar, but I chose to use less mirrors in my final design. So now you want to take, now I'm using the fix all, and actually I did use the fix all on, the two pieces that I have laid out. I used the fix all on one side and the E6000 on the other side. I prefer the fix all over the E6000 with this project. It dried much quicker and it was just easier to work with, in my opinion. So I prefer the fix all, which you can get that from the Dollar Tree. So yeah, I think the fix all did better with, I guess, made the process quicker, as well as me being able to work with it. It was easier to work with. So now I'm basically just gluing the mirrors down to complete the look. And I'm taking this mirror and I'm adding some hot glue and the fix all to connect all of the mirrors together. And I always put the mirror on the bottom just to give that extra support for height until this is dry. So I'm just putting the fix all and the hot glue on one side of this mirror because that's the only side that's going to be touching. So this is going to be adhered to the mirror. One of the mirrors is already fuse together, the two, when you join the two pieces together, the two designs that you created and you put them together. So I'm basically joining the two pieces together with the mirrors, the square mirrors that's going to be going all the way across. So basically I'm just gluing it down, and then I'm doing the same thing on the other side. And then the mirror that's going to be on the very edge, this is where I said I wish I had two more other frames, because I actually wanted the frames to outline the entire mirror piece. But since I couldn't find two more, I just went ahead and did it with just a regular square mirror, but I left a space in there just to make it look more cohesive. It could be just straight across without any spaces, but I chose to use more space. So the mirrors can actually be a little bit lighter, because these mirrors are pretty heavy. Once you combine all of them together, they get really heavy. So I wanted it to be just a little bit lighter, so I eliminated some of the mirrors. And this big square mirror here, it came from Walmart. It was like $2, close to $3. So I chose to use that one instead of all of the small mirrors. You can use all of the small mirrors. It just makes the project a little bit heavier. So basically I'm just gluing where I can to fill in. I did leave some spaces intentionally to blend in. So here I'm taking the outer mirror, the outer edge mirror, and this is where I left some of the space, and I'm just going to take the glue and go around just the tips, the edges of the mirror, just like I did with the frames, how I only wanted it to touch just a certain part of the frame. So basically I'm just gluing a small portion, probably really less than an inch of glue on each side, well, on two sides of the mirror, so that they can touch the outer frame. So, and the mirror may not fit exactly in that space. And like I said, it all comes from, I think, with me not having my mirrors, the outer mirrors, the picture frames, not having those angled exactly right. So if yours fit perfectly, then that's great. But if not, you may need to use, well, I did use craft sticks in the end. I just had it sitting here and I lightly lifted it, and I had to slide some craft sticks underneath with some hot glue on it, just so it can sit there and kind of adhere together until I was able to flip the whole frame over. So for the middle frame, I'm placing the Fix All and some hot glue on all of the corners. I'm also following up with the hot glue. And you do want to stand over your mirrors so that you can center them as much as possible. And then you want to put something on top to add some extra weight to make sure that this mirror is glued down very good. Once it dries, you want to flip it over and add more craft sticks. You want to add as many craft sticks as possible to make sure that this is secure. So I kind of laid some out, and I'm just lifting them up, and I'm placing the hot glue to secure everything. So next I used the command strips to as the method to hang this on the wall. And this is the 16-pound command strips. It can hold up to 16 pounds, but depending on how many strips you use, it can hold more than 16 pounds. That's only when you use 4 of the combinations together. It holds up to 16, but I actually used the whole package. So this is the final look. I think it came out very pretty, and it's just blowing my mind that this is Dollar Tree mirrors. So I really like this, and it's hanging in my bedroom. And that's it for now, you guys. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and also share the video if you like it. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so. And thank you to all of my new subscribers. And until next time, that's all for now. Bye.